Yes, people, welcome back to the Lily White Lab YouTube channel. Today we are reviewing our potential new left back who looks very close to joining the club from Brazil. His name is Souza or Souza or Souza. I'm not really exactly sure how to pronounce it. I'm sure some Brazilian Spurs fan will correct me in the comments. But as you can probably tell, I'm trying to avoid any talk on what's going on the pitch at the moment. I don't think there's much value in me analyzing our games at the moment, really. I think I'm going to be repeating myself a lot. I think the issues are quite clear now. I've done a lot of kind of talking on those issues. And I think those issues remain, and there's not much new information that I can kind of present to you guys. So I think it's a struggle for content at the moment. But what I'm going to try and do, especially in this transfer window, is kind of give you guys some insight onto any potential new players, how they might fit at the club, but also probably our players out on loan as well, some academy players probably. I will analyze matches here and there, but I think until I see a proper change on the pitch, it's going to be really difficult for me to present anything that's really entertaining or watchable, to be honest. So yeah, let's get into the left back situation. Now, I want to kind of explain this in two ways. I want to say that I think there are better options on the market for what we need, and I think Spurs have been in a situation on that left side of the fence in general, both left back and left centre back, where we've needed reinforcements for years. And that reinforcement has to be first team quality, or had to be first team quality, in my opinion, or had to be a guaranteed hit because we've been so depleted in that area for so long. We are probably the only club who are in the Premier League with the budget that we have, the resources we have, who are playing in the Champions League, to ever go into a season with one left back who is known for his injury problems and now be in a position in January where we don't have a fit left back in the squad. Now, people might say Ben Davies. I mean, I think he was okay in the last game. I think he was actually pretty decent. We can't be relying on Ben Davies as a left back in 2026, especially with what is being tasked on that left back, how we've had Porro sitting deep and the left back being more advanced. That's not Ben Davies. Jed Spencer's played there. I don't think he suits the role. I think we need a left footer there badly, just for the angles. So we're without a left back. So I'm happy that we've targeted a left back. And I think there are more guaranteed hits out there than this player. But this player is a very bright talent. So I don't want people to be like, oh, same old Spurs, we're just signing kids, and kind of write off this player. Although you can be unhappy with the kind of direction and why we're going for a, I guess, unproven player from not even Europe's top 7 leagues. That's an issue within itself. But I also want fans to kind of give this player a chance. You know, it's not his fault, the structure at Spurs. He's a very talented player, very, very highly rated in Brazil. So there's a lot to like with him, but there's also some concerns. And I'm going to kind of highlight some of those pros and then look at some of the cons with this player. I'm without, I believe without a doubt that he will come in and improve us purely because he's a left-footed left back. I think that has been such an issue for us. I also think the profile of left wingers we have, especially with Matisse Tell coming into form, a player that can overlap Matisse Tell right now, and allow him to maybe create that yard to cut in and shoot, which we all know is his bread and butter, would be very, very useful for this squad. So there are things just to like as a left-footed left back, but also him specifically. So I'm gonna get into those now. So Souza is a very upright dribbler. And this has some pros and some cons. And when I mean upright, I mean he's kind of, his body is lifted up. He's not kind of getting low in the way he carries the ball. It's very upright. And the pros to this, I think, are the ability to carry at speed in straight lines. I think when you're more upright, it's a more natural way to run. So you're able to get into your stride better. You're able to cover distance at a really good rate. However, when players are dribbling, to get low is to change direction, right? You have more agility, more kind of quickness in the change of direction. You have more control as well over the ball when you're getting low. But being upright, I think, allows you to really carry powerfully in straight lines. If you think of all the best ball carriers over large distances, they are all quite upright dribblers. And then if you think of the more intricate dribblers who like to go in between gaps, they're always much kind of more bent low and kind of lowering that center of gravity. With that in mind, Souza is a very powerful carrier because he's a very athletic player. So in terms of his carries up the pitch, he's really good when there is space at using that space with that athletic ability and being able to carry the ball in behind. So I think that really does suit a team that allows their left winger to kind of drift in field and creates that space for him to use that powerful carrying ability, which I think is quite similar to Doggy, is that really powerful carrying nature. Now, if you are dribbling with that upright stature, I think this not only allows you to be more quick over large distances and in straight lines, it also allows you to have your head up more. And this is an advantage of that dribbling style. That doesn't mean that every player who dribbles upright is good at keeping their head up. But if you're down low, you're amongst the chaos. And if you're upright, you can kind of assess your options better. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. This straight line carrying ability means that he's very good in attacking transitions. Probably less good against settled blocks. He's not going to kind of, when he does get into the final third, have that really intricate ability to beat an opponent. But when there is space, he will attack that space and he'll do it quickly. Now, with this carrying ability, just like Udogie, he protects the ball very well. And this is not only when he's carrying it, he uses his arms very well to protect it, shrug people off, but also when he's kind of being pressed in maybe more deeper areas, he's very good at protecting the ball because he is strong and he's got decent footwork as well. Now, this use of his arms and his ability to protect is really useful defensively as well. Now, every winger in the Premier League nowadays has pace, power, dribbling ability, and so fullbacks need to be able to put them off their rhythm. And I think Souza puts his arms out very, very well. When an opposition player is driving towards him, he's very good at shifting them and breaking that rhythm and not letting them dictate that 1v1 duel because he is strong and he uses his body well. And I think this use of his body, but also his athletic, his physical abilities really translate well to the Premier League. He is also quite a tall player. I believe he's 6'1", 6'2", which again, aerially is going to be very useful. In the Premier League, where a lot of back fours are now tall all across the line, not just at centre-back, I think a lot of fullbacks are becoming taller and taller as well. So that does fit the current kind of demands for a Premier League fullback. One thing I also always want from my defenders at Spurs or at any major big club is the fact that they would defend on the front foot. They're proactive defenders. And Souza fits this very, very well. He's tenacious. He's aggressive. I think at times we've really seen the kind of value in a fullback being really aggressive when at times kind of the opposition might play that pass into the winger. And we've seen players like Udogie nip in ahead of their opposition player and read that situation and be very proactive. And I think that, if you are going to press high, is really, really useful. And so he does anticipate these situations well because he wants to be on the front foot and he wants to be proactive. Now, I've had a lot of people ask me about his crossing ability. I think his crossing ability is good. I don't think it's not elite, but I think it's good. One thing I always look for as well for fullbacks or just wide players in general is can they cross it on the run? One thing that used to frustrate me a lot about Kyle Walker, I remember that he always used to have to stop the ball before he crossed it. But the best crossers can cross it on the run. So while they're running at full pace, can he put a cross in there while he's traveling at pace? And he can do that to a good level. So I think his crossing is good, and I really like the kind of potential dynamic in the short term or maybe the long term of Tel being able to cut in, move kind of more towards goal, and Souza being able to use that space created and then put those crosses in, and maybe Tel getting on the end of some of these or being there for cutbacks to allow for Tel shooting from outside the box. I really like this potential dynamic. Same could be said about Odobert for different reasons, but I won't dive into that too much. So right now you're probably thinking we've signed the best fullback in the world, which he definitely isn't. So I'm going to kind of go through some of his cons now. Again, young player, so I want to caveat all of this by saying he's 19. There's potential that some of this improves. There's potential that it doesn't. A lot of development is not linear. A lot of these kind of young project players need a good environment, and I don't think Spurs are that good environment at the moment. But maybe he realizes that potential regardless. We'll see. But I think some of the issues I'll explore now. So I think one of the main issues for me around him is his kind of rawness in terms of his mental profile. I think he plays a lot at one pace. Very high speed player. Very high intensity and a bit chaotic. because he does play at that one pace, I think there's less margin for error because he's so kind of full throttle all the time. He's always running at pace, kind of running in those straight lines, really aggressive carrier. He can lose control a bit sometimes, take that extra touch, kind of maybe run into blind alleys. He's not the most, I'd say, thoughtful fullback in terms of being measured in his approach. I kind of alluded to this one earlier, but I think his 1v1 quality is very basic. So, like I said, he's more of a straight line carrier. He's not necessarily a really technical dribbler. That means that I think when kind of he comes up against very smart or defensively solid fullbacks, to try and get that separation to be able to cross the ball in might be a bit of a struggle for him. He's quite basic in how he makes those spaces for himself. He does one thing that he loves, which it's really hard to kind of display this on a tactics board, but he fakes it, so he almost looks like he's going to go this way, and then fakes and goes down the line. So it's one big fake where he exaggerates the arms and whatever, which is it's a good fake, but it's also very predictable because he does it every single time. So he might need to kind of add to his bag in terms of how he gets separation to get those crosses off. One thing I think he could use more is that kind of momentum that he does have, because when he's kind of in these areas carrying from deep, he's really powerful. He doesn't overthink too much. He's just really aggressive and carries it really, really powerfully across the pitch. However, when he does get into the final third, he almost stutters a bit and he gets a bit, that kind of aggressiveness and that confidence kind of stops. And I think what I would look to use with him a bit more is that momentum. He's got that athletic ability. When he does carry it from kind of, let's say, around here, let's use that momentum that you've got and shift it on the run rather than having to kind of stop and then do this massive fake that he tends to do. You can use that momentum that you've already got to beat that player for pace, especially if they're defending kind of flat at times, or, you know, they're outnumbered back there. I think you could really use that momentum more, because some of his kind of moves to beat or his 1v1 kind of moments are very stop-starty and they're a bit kind of rigid and bitty, I'd say. So kind of getting that smoothness more, using momentum more is very key. And I think all in all, he just lacks a little bit of composure. And I think he's the kind of player that you put him in a top team and you really see the best of him. But when there's a team where there's, you know, lack of ideas, people shirking responsibility, his chaos might be quite frustrating. I made this comparison in my kind of shorter breakdown of him, but he does remind me a little bit of Reguilon when he joined Spurs. And I thought Reguilon was a talented player at the time. The issue was that he never ever pushed on. He never got rid of that chaotic nature in his game. And I think Souza, he's 19, so there's a lot more room for him to grow. But he still has that chaotic nature. And in a team where, you know, we're struggling at the moment, a bit of measure might be nice. Adding to that game, we've got a lot of chaotic players as well. That's not to say that he can't kind of develop that part of his game, but I think that is a bit of a concern. The last thing I'd say about him is that a lot of his game is built around his physicality, his athleticism. And for that to kind of be useful, he has to be at his best in terms of conditioning, freshness, fitness. And if we are now just going to rely on him and Udogie's not going to get back fit, then we're going to see his level decrease very quickly, because, you know, 2 games a week for him at 19, coming to play in a really intense league where he's so reliant on that physicality and that athleticism, is going to be a struggle. And we're going to just see those levels drop. And he doesn't really have that really technical security to rely on when he is tired or less fit to kind of get him through matches. He might turn even more chaotic. He might make lapses in concentration. So with him, we really need to manage his minutes well. Like we've struggled to do that with Udogie, we need to learn from that. And hopefully Udogie gets back fit and then we can rotate them really, really nicely. But all in all, it's a good player. It's not a guaranteed hit. It's a very talented young left back. Brazilian and Santos fans will tell you how talented this guy is. They see him playing for the national team as their future left back, etc., etc. But like I said, it's not what I would have done with this left back position. I think it needed a proper guaranteed hit player, like we need in other areas of the pitch as well. But I'm not going to complain because we've got a left-footed left back coming in. So, you know, peaks and pros and cons. But yeah, that's it for me analysing this player. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please do subscribe, share the video, like, comment, all of that stuff. More content to be coming. Please do request what you want me to make as well, because I'm at a bit of a loss at the moment of what kind of videos to make. So I'd appreciate any requests in the comment section so that I know exactly what you guys want to see. But yeah, hopefully this one gets over the line pretty quickly and we can move on to other targets. But all in all, come on, you Spurs.